Hey everybody. Thank you so much for coming tonight. This is a webinar on hormones. And my name is Wendy Selvig. I'm here with Yvonne Pace. Her and I have been doing some classes together. It's been a lot of fun. And I'm a certified aromatherapist, and Yvonne is a physical therapist. But we have both been doing Young Living together for years and years and years, and just really do a lot of oil stuff together. Yvonne, you want to say hi?
Hey, everybody.
So I'm doing this class because because I've gotten to know Dr. Dan Purser pretty well. And I made him my doctor, not just like from Zoom, because you can do he does some stuff where you can meet with him online and stuff. But this last year, I actually went to his office in Utah, I'm in Colorado, so that was a drive. But if you meet with him in person one time, then for the next year, he can actually be your doctor. He can be your female doctor. He can do whatever, any kind of pretty much medical doctor. He can write prescriptions. He can, all the things. And so I had learned quite a bit from him just by going to Facebook and watching some of his lives. He just The reason why he's even special enough to talk about like any old doctor, right? Well, he's to me a lot more special because he has told me that he wished that he was a naturopath, and that if he could do it all over again, he would be a naturopath, even though he's a medical doctor. He's cutting edge in a lot of areas. Like, he just spoke to, I think it was Yale, the graduating doctors. He just spoke at their graduation about genetics and his cutting edge research on genetics. He's very out there and forefront, but he's very open-minded to natural, and he loves natural. And he also formulates a lot of things for Young Living. And that's how I even found out about him, is because he spoke at convention. It was like 2015 when Progessence Plus came out. He formulated Progessence Plus. And so I really have learned a lot from him in how to balance your hormones. And I realized after a few things, he basically was like, look, 95% of all women could balance their hormones with a few simple things, with between clary sage and Progessence Plus. Almost everybody's issues would be resolved, from fertility to miscarriage to cramps to moodiness to hot flashes to all the things. He said 5% of people have like really weird things, and they need to have blood tests done and try to dive in and really figure them out. But most women need need a little help and assistance with some basic things. So we're going to just kind of dive in and talk about the endocrine system a little bit. And then I'm going to go in and tell you what his protocol basically is. And I work with thousands of people, and I have seen miracle after miracle after miracle by just following this protocol. And so to me, it's very encouraging. It's I don't ever want to go on synthetic hormones. I don't ever want to go, I don't want to go that route. I want to just naturally support my body. And I think if you're here, you probably do too. So Yvonne is going to start off by talking about the endocrine system briefly. And we do have some slides. Oh, hold on a second. I'm going to hit admit somebody's coming into the room. But I'm going to share the screen so that you guys can see the slides too. Okay. Here we go. Can you guys see the slides? And you can put any comments or questions in the chat too while we're talking. And we'll answer all the questions at the end. But Yvonne, go, take it away.
All right. So yeah, here's an overview of the glands that secrete hormones, produce them, and secrete them into our body. Just kind of an overview. In our brain is the pineal gland and the pituitary and the hypothalamus. The pineal gland helps us sleep. it's the sleep gland, the melatonin, produces melatonin. Of course, pituitary is like the master gland. It just directs a lot of these other glands on what to do. And then the hypothalamus is also, it keeps us in homeostasis, keeps us stable if it's got the messages it needs. So these are deep in the brain, and all the other ones are outside the brain. Okay, so it's the thyroid, behind that's the parathyroid. Then the thymus is right underneath the thyroid, and that one shrinks as we age. It has a lot to do with immunity, and it's very large in children, as you might imagine. It controls a lot to do with our immune system, the T cell. You've heard of that. And then there on top of the two kidneys there are the adrenals, and that regulates how we deal with stress, that cortisol. Everybody's probably heard that word. And then the pancreas is associated with digestive enzymes and regulating blood sugar. So yeah, if these are balanced, then we are going to have a wonderful, we're going to feel good emotionally, physically. Our metabolism is just going to be balanced. So our emotional brain, which is called our limbic system, is so deeply associated with our endocrine system. They're like partners. And so I wanted to kind of bring that up, and that's a whole nother subject, the emotional brain. But all these oils that we're going to be talking about tonight are going to support both of these systems because they are so much partners in, metabolism and in balancing our life and what we feel and how we just live our lives. So I wanted to give you an example of how the limbic brain, the emotional brain, and the endocrine system work together. They have found, since the Olympics have just ended, this might be kind of something you can really see in your brain. These young girls that are put under a great deal of stress emotionally and physically, and have very strict lifestyles and very strict diets. Well, a lot of them do not start their periods until they're like 15. So that whole system, that emotional system that is also involved with the endocrine system, affects their lives at a very young age. So once they stop exercising and they reduce their stress, they'll start having their periods. But there are some people like runners that sometimes never get their periods back because they have suppressed and stressed their bodies so much. So keep that in mind on how these oils work together to support both of these systems. And also progesterone and
yeah, so I want to jump in and out and talk about, do an overview of progesterone and estrogen, because those are the main hormones for women that we have to work to balance. And so hormones, they're not just all by themselves. They work in tandem with each other. And estrogen and progesterone, they work together a lot to regulate the menstrual cycle. So they complement each other. So if one of them is, if you're deficient in progesterone, it's going to be out of balance. That cycle is going to get messed up. It's not going to work right. Estrogen helps with memory, libido, mood, sleep, and many other functions. It protects bone density, mental clarity, healthy cholesterol levels, and even hair growth. Progesterone is produced after ovulation occurs, and then it drops off before menstruation. That sudden drop, though, can create PMS, which is a lot of hormonal moodiness. Progesterone helps regulate the effects of estrogen on the body. And these two hormones are responsible for important functions and must be balanced. Inadequate levels of progesterone are not only problematic on its own, estrogen doesn't work well without it, honestly. And when you aren't balanced, estrogen dominance happens. Now, I don't know if you've heard of estrogen dominance before, but this is one of the main problems that most women deal with. And when I look back, I mean, I didn't know what estrogen dominance was, but especially if I look back in my 30s and early 40s, I'm like, I had total estrogen. I had every single one of these symptoms. I had heavy periods. I had menstrual cramps. I had fertility issues. I mean, I had to use fertility drugs to get pregnant with my second child. Um, I had blood sugar problems, my insulin, so insulin resistant. So, I mean, weight gain so easy. And I had weight gain around the belly. That's one of the symptoms. Thyroid problems. I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's. High risk of developing autoimmune. Hashimoto's is an autoimmune. I'm like, oh my, like every single one of these, like, and a lot of people have a lot of these. Bloating, fatigue, PMS, mood disorders, anger management, like anger issues, which I've learned actually comes from your liver. But your liver is involved with making hormones. So it's just very interesting. And then increased risk of breast, uterine, and ovarian cancers. So these all come from estrogen dominance. And estrogen dominance happens when you don't have enough progesterone. And because progesterone is one of the building blocks that helps make, like it just suggests to your, if you're not making enough estrogen, it's like, hey body, make some more estrogen. It makes sure the materials are there. There's a few other, DHEA and pregnenolone are considered the building blocks of all your hormones. And Dr. Purser has said, so Young Living makes a product called PD 8020, and it is pregnenolone and DHEA. Dr. Purser, I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute, but Dr. Purser says that everyone should get like one bottle of it and take one a day for 2 weeks, and then back off and back down to take like one or two a week. So that 2 weeks of taking one every day is going to fill up all your deficiencies, and then it's going to give you all the building blocks you need to make all the hormones you need. And your body's going to be like, hey, I can make this, I can make that, and it's going to start making it. And then, but he said, but you'll overdo it. If you continue to take one a day forever, you're going to have too much, and then you're going to get acne and all these things. So he said, literally one bottle you take one a day for 2 weeks, and then you take one or two a week, basically until that bottle runs out. And for most people who are under maybe 48, you might not have to take one. You might not ever have to do them again, or you might not have to do it like 6 months later or whatever. If you're premenopausal or menopausal, then you want to take one or two a week, probably forever, because that's going to give you all the building blocks so that your body can make more progesterone and make more things, especially if you've had like a hysterectomy or you've had parts of your body removed that make hormones, that aren't going to be making things for you. Anyway, so but the estrogen dominance is really what happens in most everybody's problems. Yvonne, sorry, I went off a little bit on that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so now let's talk about what causes it. So Wendy already mentioned the first thing, poor liver function, because our liver helps eliminate excess estrogen. So everybody, I know that belly area, yeah, that everybody asks about. I think I don't know if the liver enlarges or it's overstressed, if that's part of the belly area effect. When insulin and cortisol are disrupted, so you get that the sugar, your body's not metabolizing sugar because your insulin levels are not adequate, which insulin is a hormone. So both of these disrupt estrogen and progesterone production. And then chronic stress, of course, we all have stress that leads to hormone fluctuations. And I always like to say that that's why God made a Sabbath rest. He knew that we would need to break the cycle of stress in our lives and just take a day and just rest. That is part of our health protocol, which should be a part of even the hormone reset challenge is to always find time to de-stress. And then our diets. The American diet very much is low in magnesium. You know, a lot of people are taking zinc now and trying to find good protein, sources of protein. Then the B vitamins are hard to find because our bread and things that supply B vitamins are very deficient. Say they help metabolize estrogen. So, and then in addition to that, fat cells produce estrogen. So obesity can create excess levels as well. Then sometimes estrogen dominance comes from what are called xeno with an X hormones. So these are all the environmental things that we're exposed to that we try to flip. We have flip kits in Young Living that you can flip all of these, pretty much all of these, and use oils instead. Plastics that we're exposed to, we try to use glass more. Pesticides, we have oils that you can use to deter pests instead of using pesticides. Getting good meat, car exhaust, hit the button on your car, and recirculate the air in your car instead of breathing air from the outside. And then all the different things we use, healthcare product, hair care and lotions and makeups. These all trigger estrogen. The things you plug in the wall, those definitely, you walk in. I walked into a hotel tonight and it hit me in the face. Those fake aroma coming from like a plug-in. You know, I just wanted to pull it out of the wall whenever I'm in a hotel. So yeah, all those things that we have to deal with.
Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to balance. And I came up with a list of 8 things, and they're not all taking an oil. There's a lot of things, which the first one, which she was just talking about stress, it's reducing your stress. And sometimes you can, and sometimes you can't. I mean, so different times of life. Like the last 2 weeks, I've been helping my mom move into a memory care facility. And it's a really good move. It's a really good place. It's a really good option for her. She has Alzheimer's. She needs 24-hour care now. She needs nursing care that I can't provide. And I've done a thing I could do up to this point, but now it needs to she needs care. But the stress of that, and of going through her things and reducing and just getting her over there and getting her adjusted and seeing her every day and talking to her and remind her the amount of stress the last 2 weeks I've been under. There's no way I could have not been under stress. I mean, it's just a stressful situation, and we all have things like that where it's just stressful. You know, we're in a stressful time. And what happens though when we have stress is all of our DHEA and our pregnenolone in our bodies that is used to make estrogen and make progesterone, it gets sucked up to make cortisol for stress. And our body is like, oh, no, thank you. We need that for stress right now. And then your body's like, oh, I needed estrogen today too. But it doesn't happen because you don't have enough of the building blocks. And so taking PD 80/20 in that kind of a situation helps you so that you don't end up with it all over in the cortisol pile. But also, when you're not in just a crazy situation like that, just day to day, finding ways to reduce your stress is really important. So like a couple examples would be making sure you have time for you, especially if you're a mom or you're busy, you're busy, you are a caregiver or whatever, then like making a 20-minute walk for yourself and carving that into your schedule, and then guarding that. Like, that is my 20-minute walk time. I'm sorry, you're going to have to call me later. I'm doing taking that time for you. Using oils that help the nervous system and help calm you down. Stress away is one of those. Peace and calming is another. Lavender is another. There's so many oils that help with stress. Like, if you have to sit at your desk, then diffuse that while you're working. Just make a mental note. How can I reduce my stress? Because that is going to help my hormones a ton. Getting enough sleep, number 2. You need good sleep to help your body maintain balance. clary sage, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, which helps with estrogen balance, it also has a side benefit where it helps you get into a really deep sleep at night. And that is something I stumbled upon, but and I was doing this, my husband has one of those little monitors for your sleep that tells you like how many times you go in and out of deep sleep, you know, after the night's over. And I had noticed that I go in and out maybe 4 or 5 times a night. Well, I diffused clary sage for my hormone balancing, you know, that I wanted to do, not for sleep, but I noticed on the monitor that I went into, when I was diffusing clary sage, I went into a deep sleep and I stayed there straight for 5 hours and then I came back out. And I only got like 7 hours of sleep that night, but I felt awesome. I felt like I just really rested. And so, you might, if you have a hard time sleeping through the night without waking up, you might try diffusing some clary sage to help you, you know, stay in a deep sleep. But really, it's just prioritizing and not sitting there looking at your phone for 2 hours in bed. Like, set an alarm for yourself and just know that. And also know too, I mean, I've recently heard some research that says you can't lose weight if you don't get enough sleep. If you're trying to lose weight, did you know that your body releases fat through respiration? It's not through sweat, it's not through pee, it's through breathing. And when you are sleeping at night, your body goes into a mode that releases fat out of your mouth. It's crazy. It's the craziest thing. But so let's say now you're only getting 6 hours of sleep every night. When you're trying to lose weight, you're not giving yourself enough time for that whole process to take place and get rid of those cells. So number 3, work on your liver, reduce exposure to toxins, minimize alcohol, drink lemon water. Lemon water is an astringent and it will help pull mucus and toxins out of your liver. And then you can put lemon oil on your liver point, which is right under on your right side, right under your bra strap. And there's a liver point there where there's a nerve. And if you put the oil there, that nerve will carry the oil and it wraps down around your liver. So that's a really good place to put your lemon oil. Eating protein is essential for the protection of amino acids, which are building blocks of hormones. So, you know, try to eat a high protein diet. Omega-3 fatty acids help regulate insulin and cortisol production and reduce inflammation, which have a great effect on estrogen as well. So foods like chia seeds, avocados, nuts, and fatty fish. I can really tell a difference now if I have salmon or not during the week. If I have salmon, my inflammation is down, and I realize like that's about the only omegas I get is through fish, and so we just don't have it naturally in our diet, but yet it really regulates, you know, a lot of things to help you. Exercise, of course, improves hormone receptibility. And then the last 3 things are Progestins Plus, lemon oil, and clary sage. So Progestins Plus is a natural progesterone serum that was formulated by Dr. Purser, who I mentioned. And it's made out of wild yam, the plant. So not the potato, not a yam potato, which is completely different than the wild yam plant. So but the plant is what the progesterone is made from. And when you get a progesterone prescription from a doctor, it's usually made from horse urine, and it's a completely different thing. It's apples to oranges. It's not even the same. And there's all kinds of cancer risk and things when you hear, ooh, there's, you know, taking progesterone is dangerous because of the cancer risk. Well, that cancer risk comes from the horse urine version, not from the plant version. And Dr. Purser has told me there's multiple research out there that shows that you decrease your risk of breast cancer by at least 30% as long as you're taking the progesterone. And then there was a very similar statistic on clary sage as well. And so Progestins Plus, you apply topically. You just put a couple, I put drops on my wrist usually. He says you can like move it around, put it on the backs of your legs one day, put it on your hips, put it on your stomach, put it on your wrist. He just says, if in case your skin is sensitive. So my skin is not sensitive. I can put it on my wrist every single day and I've never had any kind of sensitivity at all. So, but 8 drops a day is what he says the average woman needs. Now, um, like when I was younger, the biggest issue was menstrual cramps and moodiness. So for me, I needed about 7 or 8 drops of Progestins Plus, and that would make my cramps go away. Same with the moodiness. However, my niece, who was like 20 at the time, she would get terrible cramps where she's in bed a full day, and she needed 20 drops on her abdomen to make those cramps go away. But they did go away, and that's the whole thing. Is they did. She was just really deficient, and she really needed some more progesterone. So what you do is you put 8 to 10 drops on your wrist. You wait 10 minutes, and you see how have the cramps gone away, have my moodiness gone away, and if they hasn't, you put 10 more drops on, 8 to 10 more drops, and you wait another 10 minutes, and you keep doing that until you get the relief. And then that's how many drops today that I needed. It might be that I needed 30 drops today, but on most days I only need 7 or 8, but maybe you're in the middle of PMS or your period or something. And then clary sage naturally balances your estrogen. And he says start low and then ramp up. So like he says 8 drops a day will do it, but you could start, at 4 and see how that works for you. I honestly didn't even know about the clary sage part. For 10 years, I just took Progestins Plus, and I got 80%, 90%, of all my symptoms, and everything went away by just applying the Progestins Plus. I'm 51 now, so I'm in the menopausal area, and things got a little wonky the last couple of years, and so I added the clary sage, and then that like totally balanced me out again. So you can play around with things and see, well, maybe I can only afford Progestins Plus, so I'm going to start with Progestins Plus. But by the time you are menopausal, so I just saw him in July, and I was like, okay, here things are. I was explaining things. He goes, He's like, you're doing beautiful. He's like, when you're using the Progestins Plus and the clary sage, he's like, and I've never had a hot flash, but I can tell my period's like I'm skipping a month here, and things are starting to wind down that way. But I haven't had hot flashes, and I haven't had any severe symptoms. And I'm like, well, when am I going to get a hot flash? He's like, I don't know. You might not. He's like, you came to menopause with being balanced. So you didn't have severe deficiencies and whatnot, so he says you just keep doing what you're doing. So let me give you a tip. If you are premenopausal or menopausal or postmenopausal, he said the only issue that can't be dealt with these products, and so this is for the women out there, okay? I hope it's not too personal, but is vaginal dryness. And he said, and that can be horrifying. It can keep married couples, it can keep them away from each other. Don't touch me, and it's very sad. It can split up marriages. I mean, it's like he's like explaining. He said it's because it's so painful. And so he gave me the name of a testosterone cream. He said, this is a good brand. It's clean. This will be good for you. He said, if you ever experience this, it's like from Amazon. He's like, they're like vaginal suppositories, and it's a little testosterone. And he goes, it solves the problem. He goes, that's your little side thing that to know about. Besides that, all you need is clary sage and Progestins Plus, and you'll fly through it. So write my email down, info@theoilyacademy.com, and ask me about that, and I will send you the link to that. Or when I do the recording, I'll put a link down in the notes below so that you can find it. I forgot, I just don't have it with me right now. But so basically everyone should be able to just kind of smooth sail through menopause, as long as you are keeping your levels balanced. Yeah. And so this is Dr. Purser. If you haven't seen him before, I'm not like putting him up on a pedestal or anything. He's a human being, but he's a pretty great doctor. And I've worked with lots of doctors, and I don't have a great opinion of many of them. You guys know me. It's just because of the system, not because of the doctors. The people are doctors are great people and they want to help people, and that, but I don't love the system, the typical medical system. And I love this guy because he appreciates natural, and he also does do a lot of formulating for Young Living. He also formulates Master Formula, which he basically made those vitamins so that if you have any gene abnormalities, which most people do, 85% of or people or more do, where you could eat healthy all day, but you're not going to uptake the vitamins because your genes don't let you uptake those specific vitamins, and that those deficiencies cause diseases. So he calls himself a root cause doctor. So that's very rare in the medical system to find a doctor who is looking for the root cause of whatever your issue is. And you can find him online if you are interested in meeting up with him. It's danpursermd.com. And then, okay, so now I'm actually going to get to what we have come, I say we, I mean, I basically listened to Dr. Purser and came up with a 90-day hormone balance. I call it a challenge, but it's 90, it's try this for 90 days, and here's what you do. And within the 90-day period, you should see incredible improvement with your hormones. I don't want to say you'll be completely balanced, but you would be very close to there. And the reason why we did 90 days is because when I first started taking progestins, my friend Sarah Johnson told me about it, and I was having heavy periods and moodiness and all kinds of crazy. And my first month of taking it, my period got heavier, and I was like, oh no, this is not the direction that we are wanting to go, right? And then the next month it was heavy again. I was like, Sarah, like, she's like, stick with it, just stick with it, because your hormone levels, like, they're going up and down, and they're trying to figure it out. But I promise you'll be so happy you did. And so I did. And like on the month 3 and month 4, suddenly everything got light. It was like easy peasy. And everything, I was just, whoa, this is what it was always supposed to be like. And 35 years of not having a normal period, and I just had one. And from that moment on, I've had normal periods. They've been light, they've been easy to get through. I haven't been moody, just all these things. So anyway, okay, I'm sorry, I got distracted because my dog came in and started making a bunch of noise. I had a little ADHD here. So the challenge. So I'm going to show you the challenge is to take these products, and I broke it up into 3 months of about $100 each. And here's the thing, after you've done this, you don't have to spend that, you don't have to stay doing this forever. Like, you can get yourself balanced and see, like, how do I feel? And then maybe you can back down to just using some progestins plus every month. Or if you're postmenopausal, some progestins plus and clary sage, and you need to test your own levels out. Maybe you don't need as much. Maybe you can make a bottle last 2 months. I mean, you can work with that, but the beginning, you kind of need to get balanced because you probably have some severe deficiencies of things. Okay, Lindy, I see your question about estradiol. I will see if I've got an answer for that here in a minute. Renee, facial hair you mentioned. I do have a thing about that too. So I'll come to these at the end. I won't forget. So let me tell you. Okay, in this challenge, actually what I've got, I have a handout that I am going to drop in the chat, and it's a PDF. So let me know. I think you can right click on it and download it. Let me just try. Okay, I have put it in there. So I think you could, there's a download button, so you can download that. If you're watching this later, I'm going to put a link to this down in the notes below, or at the very worst case scenario, send me an email, info@theoilyacademy.com, and I'll send you this slide. But this is the 90-day protocol for balancing your hormones. And then we have a Facebook group for people who are doing this 90-day challenge, have been doing this for over a year. That QR code is on that PDF, and you can scan it and come into the group. A couple times a year I rev up and we do, a bunch of slides and a bunch of teaching on it. And then, but there's a long history. You can scroll through there. You can see videos of Dr. Purser talking, and it's just a great support. And it's a cross-line group, so it's not just like you don't have to be in my downline to be in there. I've created the group, but you are welcome to just to come in if you're not in the downline. So what this slide is showing you, so first of all, month 1 is, it's just the Progestins Plus and Clary Sage. I'm sorry, I have family and they're like, my dog busts my door open. So now, and then my family members are all walking by. Like, I'm like, someone shut my door. They've all gone in their rooms and shut the door now. So I think they'll be okay. Families. All right. So month 1, you take, oh, someone's shutting it for me. Yes, thank you. Please shut my door. Month 1, Progestins Plus and Clary Sage. You take the Clary Sage, you're gonna do 4 drops a day, and the Progestins Plus, you're gonna do 8 drops a day. And then Lemon Vitality, that you get a little bottle of Lemon Vitality, and every day you're going to put 2 or 3 drops over that liver spot. And this is, or you can put it in your water if you want to drink it. But the purpose of that is to support your liver, because your liver is responsible for a lot of hormone production, a lot of hormone balancing, and our livers are toxic. I mean, we have so many things where we need to detox from, and this is just going to kind of like support and help your liver through this whole process. And so that's the whole first month. The whole first month is just the Progestins Plus and Clary Sage and the lemon. Month 2 is a little different. You keep taking the Progestins Plus and the Clary Sage, but because you're only doing 4 drops of Clary Sage, that Clary Sage is going to last you for month 1 and month 2. And so in month 2, you're going to get a bottle of Progestins Plus, and you're going to get the PD8020. And month 2 is when you're going to take 1 a day for 2 weeks. And then you're just going to back off and take 1 or 2 a week for the rest of the challenge. And then you don't have to buy another PD8020. And then month 3 is just back to the first month is you do exactly the same, because you'll be out of Clary Sage, so you need to buy another bottle of that. You buy a Progestins Plus and a lemon again. So it's the Progestins Plus, Clary Sage, and lemon the first month, the Progestins Plus and a PD8020 the second month, and then repeat the first month on the third month. And that is the challenge. And you should be able to note and see, you should really start with all that progesterone, you should start seeing effects in the first month. And then if you have a period, or you have moodiness, or something, is just like, you can add more progesterone on those days, and just to get more relief and more balance. Let me just see. Okay, so this is Yvonne and I. Yvonne, I just kind of railroaded through that whole ending.
Yeah, that's fine.
So this is the hormone Facebook group, if you need to take a picture of that, but it is on the download. It is on the handout that I put in the chat. And then that is actually the full presentation. So I'm going to open it up if you guys have questions. I do have these 2 here. Okay, I have a few more. Let me look at the chat real quick. Okay, can we put them on wrist at the same time? Yes, you can put them on the wrist at the same time. So Dr. Purser says to take Progestins Plus at night because it can make you sleepy. It does not make me sleepy. I've taken it for so long, I just know it doesn't make me sleepy, so I don't care when I take it. If you put it on and you find it relaxes you, it's going to help you sleep. So it's good to just put it on before bed. Now, clary sage stinks to high heaven as far as I'm concerned. It smells like a noxious weed. I don't like it at all. So I'll put clary sage, and because it helps you sleep, I put clary sage on at night, on the bottoms of my feet, and then I put socks on so I don't have to smell it and put my feet under the covers. So I really don't have to smell it. Yes, you can put clary sage on your ankles because of the reproductive points. Beverly, can you remember? Are the female on the inside of the ankles? I can't remember at the moment. I think it is. I think that the male are the outside. But yes, you could put it on your ankles. I just don't, yeah. So females on the inside of your ankles. Um, I just don't like to smell it, so I put it under the covers as much as I can. So another, estriadol vaginal cream. Lindy, are you speaking specifically about one that is just any cream, or like hold on, I think I have a comment I'm looking for. I've got some notes from him. No, I don't see one on that actually. I'm sorry, I don't have an answer for that. Estradiol vaginal cream. He doesn't recommend it, I don't think. I mean, he basically told me clary sage, Progestins Plus, and the testosterone cream. He said testosterone is the reason why you get vaginal dryness. So that's what he recommends. So yeah, so facial hair is too much testosterone. And so so that can be balanced with Progestins Plus. Absolutely. And just excess hair in general. It doesn't have to be face, I've gotten them on my neck before. I met a gal, she was like in her 20s, but she just had a ton of hair on her arms, just really dark, like excess hair, and that was testosterone. And so she took Progestins Plus, and it really helped her. And let me tell you another thing. So when I was in Panama, this gal that I met, she was at the YWAM base, and she was a Christian missionary. And she came to talk to me, and she said, Wendy, I struggle with like I struggle with sexual desires. Like all I can think about is sex, and I don't want to. And I'm looking at the hair on her arms, and I'm like, oh, testosterone. She's got so much testosterone. And I'm like, and so I talked to her about it, and I said, she's like, I don't want to be sinful, and I don't want to be, I don't want to be like chasing guys down and stuff. She's like, and so we helped her get on some Progestins Plus, and she came back to me. She's like, that all went away. So she had testosterone, which is a sex drive, hormone. She had excess of it in her body. It was causing a lot of imbalance and a lot of things, and specifically the hair all over her body. But yes, so facial hair is included in that. That is a testosterone thing. I don't know if you can make it all go away, because I'm like, I still have one that just is pretty stubborn. It just I hope that my friends, if I'm ever I've told some of my friends, if I'm ever in a hospital and I'm like, I can't, I'm paralyzed, will you just come like pluck that hair off my neck? Gotta have a good friend too, I suppose. Any more? Let's see. What about if you're already on hormone replacement patches? What does he say? Well, I mean, he's a medical doctor, and he'll say you can, he can even prescribe that. So he just is like prefers the natural and thinks it's healthier long term, I think. But I would say you probably have to talk to him specifically, maybe on some of them, I did forget to give my disclaimer. I'm not a doctor. You guys know that. You know, I just, because it's recorded, I have to say this. I am not a doctor. I'm not your doctor, and I'm not trying to treat or prescribe or tell you what to do. The only reason I'm doing this information is so you can gather information and then go talk to your doctor specifically about it. So by listening to this, you're not taking advice from me or saying that I'm telling you what to do. All right. Thank you. There, let's see. I think sometimes it's just a choice. Like I have a friend right now who gets testosterone injections, and like they put them under this, or the pills they put under the skin, and it's really saved her life. And I mean, her body was going downhill in a lot of ways, and she was an extreme case, and she really needed it. And she like has come back. She's like, I love life again, you know. So I'm not one to say you shouldn't do that or shouldn't. Um, I'm going to go the natural. I choose everything I do. I try to do natural. So I'm going to try that first. If that doesn't work for some reason, I'm willing to look at those other things, especially if you talk to Dr. Purser about it. But I don't have any specific advice for him. I'm sorry on that. But if anybody wants to unmute and ask a question, you're welcome to it.
Your food's in the microwave.
Does anyone else have any questions? Or I hope you'll come to the Facebook group and even just lurk if you're not sure, you know, just come. We'll be ramping up in the fall and doing a couple where what happens is like I'll go to a vendor event and I'll talk to a bunch of people about hormones. And then that next month we'll do a post every day for all the new people that came in. And so if you're in the group, you'll see little surges of a lot of education come in. I know Dr. Purser has talked about anxiety. If you experience anxiety, I have a note here in front of me. He said, so this is a comment. Somebody had comment on one of his posts. They say, have you had experience with anxiety being decreased with using Progestins Plus? I feel like my panic attacks are hormonally related, and I'm exploring options for that. And he said, yes, they are from a lack of progesterone. And then if not that, then you look at the thyroid, you know. And breast cancer, just so there's a lot of people who are really afraid to take anything, any kind of hormone, anything, because of the breast cancer. Here's a comment. This gal said, I just finished radiation for breast cancer. On an estrogen reducing drug. What kind of progesterone would be good for me? And he says natural, hint, hint, like the Progestins Plus, and lots of it. You can use Progestins Plus and clary sage, because neither one of those will increase your cancer risk. And he's talking about all the cancers. What is it, estrogen receptor positive. There's a lot of different kinds, and people are really afraid. And he said there's not one that you have to be afraid about if you're doing the Progestins Plus and the clary sage. And as a matter of fact, clary sage and Progestins Plus cause apoptosis in cells and will decrease your chance of getting breast cancer, you know, again, by like at least 30%. Endometriosis, he says, I treat endometriosis with a lot of natural progesterone and almost always get rid of all their symptoms. We know that endometriosis is either from lack of progesterone receptors, in the severe cases, to just lack of enough progesterone production. And he does have a book on Amazon. I think it's just called Progesterone, but you can look up Dan Purser. But he talks about that a lot in there. Libido, he talks about that a lot. The Progestins Plus, again, and the PD8020, he says, take one a day for 2 weeks, and see a big difference in your libido. Anyway, these are all, I'm just going through, I've got a bunch of, you know, his notes, but I do have another handout, actually, you guys, that I will share with you. See if I have it here. Just thought about this. Let me drop it this will be really beneficial. Okay. Use this for yourself and be careful. I used to say be careful because none of us are doctors and we don't want to get in trouble for like treating, prescribing. Make sure you're very clear when you talk to people that you're not doing that. Sorry, I'm gonna find this document. But I put together this basically it's a handout that I use when I'm at vendor events and women come up to me and they talk about, well, I have this issue, what would you do? And I'm like, this is not what I would do. This is the notes that I got from Dr. Purser, and this is what Dr. Purser would do. Oh, here it is. Okay. So will you guys make a note and send me an email or an instant message and ask me for the document? Because I'm going to have to find it. It's on my hard drive somewhere, but I will send it to you if you want it. But basically, it's like 3 pages of symptoms. So like here's PCOS, headaches, night sweats, fibroids, joint issues that are all having to do with hormones. And basically, I watched his lives for 5 hours. I took notes on everything he said. And then I realized that every time he did a live, that the women asked the same questions over and over and over. And I started to pick up on how he was answering. And I was like, oh, I know what he's going to say. Every time I heard it, I started to learn it. And so I just created this guide. So I'm happy to share this guide with you. And it's a PDF. I'll have to send it to you. So my email is info@theoilyacademy.com. Just send me an email and I can send that to you. Yeah, I guess that's it. Well, it's 7:58. We're 2 minutes short of an hour. I try to stay on an hour. Don't want to keep you all night. If you guys have any more questions, let me stop sharing. Here we go. Oh, anything else, you can always send me an email. Send Yvonne an email. And we're happy to help and answer questions.
Yeah, there's one more on there. Does this protocol seem to work with someone on bioidentical hormones?
I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. I can find out. I can ask Dr. Purser. I'm like I talk to him almost every week, it feels like right now.
Yeah, well, can you use it together? Is it okay to use them together?
Yeah.
That'd be a question to ask him.
Okay, so
Can you start
Susan.
the protocol, and even though you're on hormones,
Well,
replacement.
my gut reaction is that that yes, it's going to help protect you a little bit from some of the cancer risk, and that it's going to encourage balance. Like clary sage is not estrogen. It's not, it encourages your body to make its own. So it's encouraging your body to do, to make what it needs. And if you already have it and you're pretty balanced, then it may not need, your body may not need to make any. But I will email him and ask him, and then I'll let you know. I'll let Yvonne know she's got your email address. But I will. And okay, so I want to do the drawing too before we hang up with everybody.
And then somebody wants the email address again.
Oh, yes. Info, INFO, at theoilyacademy.com. And I have, let's see, let me just make sure I got everybody in there. Oh, I didn't get Joyce. Hi, Joycey. Joyce is in Canada.
Hi, Wendy. Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Okay. All right. So Yvonne, I'm gonna do a drawing for 2 Endoflex rollers. Just really quick, what is Endoflex? Endoflex is an essential oil blend that Young Living makes that supports the hormones for everybody, for men, for teens, for women. It is awesome for teens, and it was my go-to because I had teen boys. So if I had teen girls, I would have had them on Progestins Plus like right away. But I can't do that for my boys. And so Endoflex was their go-to. So they all had roller bottle full of Endoflex, like they have their own. And I've used that for years. And I was telling Yvonne about a story with my oldest. In his teen years, we're having a little fight. You know, he was like just all full of, I don't know, just teenage angst. and he said something, you know, mouthy to me, and I said, you need to go put your Endoflex on. And he was, I hate it when you're right. But he knew, because he knows that he gets relief, and suddenly, oh, his mood calms down and everything's okay now. And you know, so that's what this is. And it works for it does help for women. It doesn't help me at all like Progestin Plus does, but I still love it. And I love to diffuse it. It smells so good. It smells like it's spearminty. And it's calming. And just usually when people smell it, they're like, oh, that's so nice. What is that? You know. So I'm going to do a drawing, and I have your guys' names written down with a number by everybody's name. So Yvonne, pick a number between 1 and 8.
4.
Crawl, KW. Yeah, you're going to get one. And then one more.
Thank you.
You're welcome. One more.
Oh, okay. 7.
Deanna girl, that's all you. All right. I wish if it wasn't for ridiculous postage prices, I'd send you all one, but I guess we're gonna do 2 tonight. So you guys, thank you so much for coming and for listening and letting us pour into you and teach you. And really, truly, if you have any questions or you want to know more about it, just reach out to me. I also recommend you go follow Dr. Dan Purser on Facebook. I mean, he's great, and come join our group. So thank you guys.
Thank you, Wendy.
You
Thank
bet.
you.
Thank you, Wendy.
Appreciate
Thanks for
Very
coming,
good.
Wendy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, Athena and Susan. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.